All right. So, have you ever experienced that like sharp stabbing pain right in your forehead after maybe taking too big of a gulp of a milkshake or something?
And yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, like that instant headache almost.
Yeah, exactly. Brain freeze. It's like the ultimate betrayal from a delicious cold treat.
It really is. And you know what's funny? It's not actually your brain freezing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what is it then?
It's more like an overreaction from your body trying to protect itself from the cold.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me. What's actually happening in there?
Well, think about it. When you gulp down something ice cold, that liquid hits the roof of your mouth, right?
Right.
And up there, you have a ton of blood vessels that are super sensitive to temperature changes.
Makes sense.
So when they suddenly get hit with that blast of cold, they constrict really fast to try and minimize heat loss.
It's like our body's way of going, whoa, too cold, got to protect ourselves.
Precisely. And usually that would be the end of it, but your body's kind of like a well-meaning but overzealous friend. It doesn't want those blood vessels to stay constricted for too long, so it overcompensates big time. It sends a surge of warm blood rushing to the area to try and warm things back up.
Okay, so it's like slamming on the brakes and then immediately flooring the gas pedal.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. And that sudden shift from constricted to dilated blood vessels, that's what causes the pain.
Okay, that makes sense. But why the forehead? Why don't we feel the pain in our mouths where the coal is actually hitting?
Oh, that's where things get really interesting. It all comes down to our nerves.
Nerves, you mean like the ones that make me jump when I stub my toe?
Well, sort of. It's a bit more complex than that, but basically the nerves in the roof of your mouth are connected to a major nerve pathway called the trigeminal nerve.
Trigeminal nerve. Sounds intense.
It is. This nerve is responsible for transmitting all sorts of sensory information from your face, including, you guessed it, to your forehead.
Uh-huh. So it's like a game of telephone
Yeah.
where the message gets a little mixed up along the way.
Exactly. The signals get crossed, and your brain thinks the pain is coming from your forehead, even though it all started in your mouth.
It's like a case of mistaken identity, but on a neurological level.
You got it. It's a great example of how our brains, while incredibly complex, can sometimes get a little confused about where sensations are coming from.
I guess even the most brilliant minds can have their off days.
That's for sure.
And you mentioned the trigeminal nerve is also involved in headaches and migraines, right?
Right. And that's why brain freeze can feel so intense for some people. That same nerve pathway is being activated just in a much more localized and temporary way.
So you're saying my brain freeze could be giving scientists clues about how to treat migraines. That's pretty wild.
It's true. Researchers are actually studying brain freeze to understand more about how the trigeminal nerve works and how it might contribute to other types of head pain.
Now that's a fun fact I can definitely bring up at my next party.
As you should. It's not every day you can say your brain freeze is helping advance science,
I'll drink to that.
but maybe not something too cold.
Good point.
So back to brain freeze itself, did you know that this whole drama unfolds incredibly quickly, usually within 10 seconds of that cold hitting your mouth?
Wow, that's fast. It's like our body's way of saying, nope, not today.
Exactly. And thankfully, it disappears just as quickly, too, typically within a few seconds or a minute at most.
Okay, that's reassuring because those few seconds can feel like an eternity when that pain is throbbing in your forehead.
I can imagine. So let's talk about what we can do to stop brain freeze in its tracks besides just waiting it out.
All right, I'm all ears. Spill the beans. What's the secret to ending this icy torture?
The key is to reverse that rapid temperature change that started this whole mess.
Okay, so what do we do? Run to the microwave and grab a hot towel.
No need for that.
Yeah.
There's a much simpler solution, and it's already in your mouth, your tongue.
You mean like stick my tongue to the roof of my mouth? Is that really all it takes?
It might sound silly, but it really works. Just press your tongue firmly against the roof of your mouth and hold it there for a few seconds.
So we're basically giving ourselves a tongue-powered internal heating pad. I love it.
It's pretty ingenious, right? And another effective strategy is to drink something lukewarm.
So like not ice cold, but not hot either. Somewhere in between.
Precisely. That helps to gradually normalize the temperature in your mouth and gives those blood vessels a chance to relax.
Okay, so no more chugging ice-cold drinks on a hot day. I guess slow and steady wins the race when it comes to avoiding brain freeze.
You got it. Savoring those cold treats is key. It also helps to warm up your mouth beforehand. You could try drinking some room temperature water or even just holding your tongue against the roof of your mouth for a few seconds before you take that first bite of ice cream.
Ah, so it's like preheating the oven. Got to get things ready for that temperature change.
That's a great analogy. And if you're already in the throes of brain freeze, breathing can also help. Try inhaling through your nose and then exhaling gently against the roof of your mouth.
So we're giving our mouths a mini sauna treatment with our own breath.
Exactly. And the best part is these methods are all completely natural and free. No need for fancy gadgets or expensive remedies.
I'm loving this brain freeze escape plan.
Mm.
It's simple, effective, and anyone can do it. But before we move on, I have to ask, are some people just immune to brain freeze? I have a friend who swears they've never experienced it, and honestly, I'm a little jealous.
You know, it's funny you should mention that. It turns out that some people are indeed less susceptible to brain freeze than others.
Seriously, how is that even possible?
Well, we don't know for sure, but it likely has to do with individual differences in how our nerves react to those rapid temperature changes. Some people's nerves might be less sensitive to those signals, or their blood vessels might be less reactive.
So it's like they have a built-in brain freeze shield. That's amazing.
Mm.
I guess some people really are just wired differently.
That's a great way to put it. It just goes to show that there's still so much we don't know about the complexities of the human body and how we each experience the world differently.
Speaking of experiencing things differently, do other animals get brain freeze? I mean, we share a lot of biology with our furry friends, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had a similar reaction to a cold treat.
You're actually spot on. Dogs, for example, are known to experience brain freeze. You might notice your dog pausing or tilting its head after lapping up some ice cream. It's a bit hard to tell for sure, but that's likely their version of an ice cream headache.
Ah, poor pups. But it's kind of cute to imagine them experiencing that same head-scratching confusion we do.
It definitely adds a new layer of empathy to watching our furry friends enjoy a frozen treat.
It does. Now, we've talked a lot about how to stop brain freeze, but is there anything we can do to prevent it from happening in the first place, besides, swearing off ice cream forever, which I'm not willing to do?
Of course, the best way to prevent brain freeze is to avoid those sudden drastic temperature changes in your mouth.
So slow and steady wins the game again.
Exactly. Take smaller bites and sips and allow your mouth to adjust to the cold gradually. And as we mentioned before, warming up your mouth beforehand can also help.
Got it. Preheating the oven, taking it slow, and listening to my body's signals. Those are my new ice cream mantras.
I love it. And you know, all this talk about brain freeze has really got me thinking about how incredible our bodies are.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's amazing how our systems are constantly working behind the scenes to keep us balanced and functioning properly.
Exactly. Our bodies are constantly adapting to changes in our environment, both internal and external. And sometimes, like with brain freeze, they overreact a little, but it's all in the name of keeping us safe and comfortable.
It's like they're always looking out for us, even if it means a little temporary discomfort.
That's a great way to put it. And it makes you appreciate the complexity and resilience of the human body even more.
It really does. So the next time I get brain freeze, I'll try to remember that it's just my body's way of showing it cares.
Exactly. And hopefully knowing what's going on behind the scenes can make those few seconds of pain a little more bearable.
It definitely helps. So to all our listeners out there, the next time you experience brain freeze, don't just curse the ice cream gods. Take a moment to appreciate the incredible biological symphony happening inside you.
Well said. And remember, your brain freeze might just be helping to advance scientific understanding.
Now that's something to think about. So stay curious and keep those brains from freezing.
Until next time.